What's up, guys? Welcome to the Devlog series for Project Xena. It's an action adventure game with a focus on engaging combat, interesting puzzles, and a lot of exploration. I'll be taking you through the whole journey from designing levels to fine tuning combat mechanics, so stick around and see how it all comes together. As you can see, the game is in its pre alpha state. I haven't really added any art to any of the environments. I only got some props, like some of the chests, it's the switches, the gates. But I really wanted to focus more on the mechanics of the game feel, and generally the game design philosophy, really, which I'll probably go into a bit more later in the video or in other videos. I've been working on the game for 6 months now. Started in March of this year, and then stopped in August temporarily, so I could focus on doing these devlogs. However, I don't want these videos to take away from me making the actual game. One of my main goals for this game is to actually finish it. I've made games in the past for personal projects or for game jams, but I really don't get a chance to finish them. They're always missing art, music, or something else. I've drawn inspiration from many different games, but the two that really shaped my game and really helped me start this journey was Tunic and Death's Door. Both are an action adventure game in the same isometric view. Tunic and Death's Door are amazing games, but especially Tunic. The discoverability, the secrets, the way the game uses the isometric view and plays to that is honestly groundbreaking. And I want to take some of that and put that into my game. And with Death's Door, the combat, the action, the abilities, and the way the enemies work, I really love some of those mechanics as well there, and I just want to combine them and just make that game. Another big inspiration for Project Xana was all of the awesome devlogs I've been watching on YouTube. The stuff people have been putting out have just been amazing. Not only the games, but also the way they present their development journey. It really pushed me to document my own process and share with you all. But enough of all of that. Let me show you what I've done so far with the game, starting off with the combat and enemy design. We've seen that the player can attack and they can dodge, but some of the other basic combat actions are blocking and parrying. Both work in a similar way, both have to be facing the source of damage, and which both would negate all damage if blocked or parried successfully. The difference here is that when a successful parry happens, it will also stun the attacker as well. Right now, there's no incentive to use parrying over blocking. In the future, that might change when I add the stamina system. Parrying might not cost no stamina, but blocking would. It's great having all of these combat mechanics, but if we don't have engaging enemies, what's the point? And this is where our enemy design comes in. Let's start with the melee enemy. This area was the first enemy I designed for the game. When creating the combat and enemies, I wanted them to feel reactive to the player, not just aggressive. So I made sure to focus on defense abilities as well as offensive ones as well. The melee enemy can dodge player attacks based on certain conditions, making it more challenging to land hits. But to keep it fair, I made sure to add a cooldown to their dodge ability, so it doesn't feel overreactive. I'm looking to add more of these reactive abilities to the game, such as like when the player tries to heal, the AI would rush them to try and stop them, forcing them to cancel their heal or get hit. The mage enemy is the long range type, designed to predict where the player is moving and fire projectiles in that direction. If the player gets too close, the mage would retreat to maintain distance. This design encourages players to use their abilities to find ways to get closer or to cover that distance. Okay, onto the big man, the boss man himself, Targoth. Targoth is the first boss in the game that the players will encounter. In general, for my bosses, I want the bosses to feel overwhelming at first, but I want them to feel fair. They should be challenging but fair, and that's generally the idea when designing these bosses. He has a variety of different moves, such as a light and heavy attack, a jump attack, a lightning strike ability that tries to predict where the player goes. He has like a charging special attack where he charges up, spawning these orbs, where if you don't destroy the orbs in time, he slams down, doing a massive area of damage. Yeah, and I'm hoping to add more abilities, probably like a few more.
abilities to the enemy, some stuff that can be a bit more fun and more engaging as well. As well, when I made the boss before I really built the ability system. So all his abilities are directly tied to this actor, this enemy. But I know in the future I might want to extract some of that abilities like the lightning strike to other characters in the game. But I'll talk about more about that in the ability system later. In the next update, my focus is going to be getting proper models for the enemies and really dialing in the visual effects. I always wanted to create my own ability system. I know Unreal has its own powerful gameplay ability system, which is a great option for most, if not everything you need. But I wanted to challenge myself by building something from scratch instead. I created what I'm calling the action system, which is a component that manages actions, or in other words, abilities. Actions include things like healing, blocking, or firing a projectile. Players will unlock new actions as they progress, whether by finding chests, defeating bosses, or advancing through the story. One of my goals with this system is to make sure that actions are modular, and so that new actions can be created and shared across different gameplay objects. Let me show you a quick example of how the healing action works. All actions must inherit from the action class. There are three key events: start action, stop action, and receive action notify. We will trigger the start action by the player pressing the button, which will start the heal process. This will then reduce the player's movement speed and start playing the healing animation. If the animation is interrupted or completed, we then call the stop action event, which just resets the player's movement back and resets the timers. The receive action notify is actually triggered in that animation in itself. So when it gets to a certain point in animation, it will call this event, which heals the player, spawns some effects, and then depending on certain conditions, it would keep on healing the player every tick or so. I use data assets to manage information about each action. The first data asset references the blueprint action class. Then there's the item data asset, which includes things like the name, the description, and the thumbnail. And this references the first data asset, which is the action asset directly. This setup makes it easy to assign abilities to the player or AI. For example, to give the player a healing ability, I just need to add the healing action asset to the action component, and now they can heal. I'm obviously skipping over a lot of stuff, but you get the idea. Alright, moving on to the status system. It works similar to the action system, but it's all about applying effects like burn and stun to the player or enemies. Right now I've got two statuses, burn and stun, but I'm aiming for 4 in total, not counting the stun. With this system, I can also add immunities, so a fire slime, for example, can be immune to burn statuses. In most games, status effects just deal damage over time, which can feel a bit boring. So I'm going to experiment with unique ways for these statuses to impact gameplay, making each one feel distinct and engaging. So if you've got any ideas for creative status effects, please drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. When designing the world, I wanted each level to feel connected and full of discovery. Each area links to the next, allowing the player to explore freely and uncover new paths as they progress. There will be a central hub level that expands over time, revealing more secrets as you dive in deeper into the game. I'll admit, I hate level design as a programmer. I often feel stuck when trying to come up with fresh ideas. That's why there's no art right now currently. But I'm starting to get better. I've begun breaking down each level by asking, what do I want it to accomplish? Maybe it's introducing a new feature, setting a specific atmosphere, offering a safe space, or just providing a moment for the player to show mastery of a skill. This approach has really helped me focus on making each area unique and meaningful to the player's journey. Another big thing for me is playing with perspective and adding secrets. Tunic does this brilliantly. I'm hoping to capture some of that same magic with hidden roots and secrets to make the game just feel that much better. Of course, a game like this will need some sort of saving system. How it works in this game, the player saves at a designated point, similar to like a bonfire, which resets all enemies in the world, but things like bosses, gates, and chests would not reset. Not gonna lie, the save system was a headache. My original way was tedious and not efficient at all. So I ended up replacing it with a plugin, which was a huge relief. It saved me so much time. Yeah, I think that's it for the video. I think that's a nice summary of the game. I haven't worked on it as much as I like recently because making this video took way longer than I thought. So in the future, I'll probably keep the videos much shorter, just focus on 1 or 2 features here or there. As I mentioned before, the next big update would be focused on the environment, changing out, expanding the levels a bit more. Yeah, I would love to get all you guys' feedback on the videos, on the game. So feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments below. And again, thanks for watching the video.